cobblestone streets, haunting history, cozy cafes, and breathtaking views sound like your kind of weekend? Then buckle up because we're heading to Scotland. In this episode, we'll share how to make the most of just a couple of days in one of the world's most atmospheric cities, Edinburgh. From ghost tours and gourmet dinners to castle views and quirky artisan markets, we packed a lot into one whirlwind weekend. We'll tell you where to stay, what to eat, and the hidden gems that made us fall in love with the city, all so you can plan your own unforgettable Scottish escape. I'm your host, Julie. I'm sitting here with my husband, Tony.
Hello.
Welcome to the Meander Travel Podcast, episode number 23. This is Edinburgh.
Wheels up.
We're gonna be two hearts running wild.
So, before we get into the historic and fun in Edinburgh, let's give a brief background as to how we found ourselves in Scotland for just a couple days last week.
So currently we are recording on the boat pod in Little Venice in London.
Our second one.
Our second one. We just got done recording another one.
Yep.
We had been in Dublin, Ireland for the Vikings game last week. And then we went up to Belfast. And then we went over... And then we had to be back down here to London for this weekend's game because the Vikings played again yesterday, which
two-week tour.
Won.
Woo woo, school.
But we, instead of going from Belfast down to London, we decided to pop on over to Edinburgh for a few days in between.
Yeah, because you had never been, so it was kind of fun for you to get there. So we really wanted to do the Highlands as well, and it's funny because if anybody knows Tony, he's like, oh, as long as we're here, we can add on this, and as long as we're going to be there, we can do this. And I told him, no. Absolutely not. You cannot try to extend everything so far. We don't have enough time to go all the way up to the Highlands. No.
We can see all of Scotland in 3 days.
No, I said absolutely not. Let's just do Edinburgh and enjoy ourselves and soak it in. And we're just going to have to come back and do all the other things a different time. So the Highlands will be another tour some other time.
So we did a quick little trip from Belfast over to Edinburgh. And we took a EasyJet, which I was very nervous about our bags because they are giant, but they didn't give us any flack, and we got.
There was
over
only
here.
like 20 people on the flight.
Right,
We had tons of space.
That's why I don't think they gave us any problems.
Yeah.
But then when we got here, got to the city, to the airport, we took the Airlink tram from the airport to downtown, which was only $7 or £7.50 per person, which was nice because it was smooth, quick, easy. And it was really good first impression because you got to see the countryside coming into the castle, see the castle, Edinburgh, and then also you're there and you get off. And it saved a lot of money over a cab.
Yeah, and we have become smarter travelers in the sense that, maybe in the day when we weren't traveling as much, we would just grab an Uber because it was convenient and it was a little bit more money, but then you just expedite your process. Now we're like, nope, got to save that money. So we have more for other trips. And
no jobs, you gotta watch your
yeah,
jobs.
exactly. So anyway, but it was it was actually really easy and probably just almost as quick.
Super simple.
Yeah, it was not a big deal. But it's an accessible city. It's really not that large, so it was very easy to get around, and it was nice not to have a car, so we could just kind of do our own thing. Public transportation's easy.
It's actually much smaller than people think, and when you talk about Edinburgh, by the way, I'm going to butcher it at some point, so I'm going to say this right now. We have had so much fun talking to people and about Edinburgh. How do you say it, Jules? Let's hear you say one.
I say Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Kind of
Edinburgh.
Edinburgh.
Yeah. So our daughter, she would love this name of the city because everything's brah. So Edinburgh is what we're going with, and because we've been told by Scottish people that's how to say it.
It doesn't sound the same when it comes out of our
It
mouth.
doesn't. We sound like we're butchering it
Whatever.
every time. Anyways,
That's okay.
Edinburgh is very small. It is just the walled city, which is kind of funny because that's the old town of Edinburgh. But everything around it is considered Edinburgh now. But it is very much a very small, little, tiny, concentrated area.
Yeah, the other ones are actually like different neighborhoods, and they're not really called that. But you still kind of assume it's the whole area. But so we stayed. I will give Tony a lot of credit, and I appreciate you very much for this, honey, because you do a ton of research about where we stay. You try to make it, yes, I will give you some kudos, but you try to make it super accessible to our transportation spots, to things that we want to do. You make sure that we're never walking super far with our big, heavy backpacks that we have now converted to, like we're 20 or something. I don't know. We're going backwards in life.
Let's say why. We learned years ago, especially coming after COVID, with carry-on luggage. If you do carry-on, they can't lose your luggage, because when we were in Barcelona and we had no bags for 3 days, we said
miserable.
We're done with this. So we do never check a bag going anywhere on the way there. So we will beg, borrow, plead, and steal to get bags extra to go home, and then we'll check them all. But to get to where we're going, we want to have our clothes when we get there. So we are carry-on only. We have backpacks. So, but then you got to carry them around with you in the city and stuff. So
they're heavy.
There's no wheels. But then when we get to go home and we have all extra souvenirs and we're like, grabbing loose luggage off the street just to throw our stuff into so we have more space.
We did that once.
We did.
No shame.
We saw some yesterday too. We almost got But then when we get to go home, we can check those bags. We don't care if they arrive a day late because we're home.
Yeah, exactly. Well, anyway, so what I was saying was I do appreciate you because you found an amazing hotel location. So we stayed at a place called the Fraser Suites. It's about halfway down the Royal Mile, so it was midway. It was perfect. You could kind of go either direction, and you weren't walking a long way for anything that you're going to. And then right on the back side of the hotel is stairs that go down the hill towards the new town, but then also right to the train station where we ended up leaving from. So it was a absolutely fantastic location, and I appreciate that you do all the work to find that, because he does like to get out you get out the Google Maps and even Google Earth, and you will sometimes look at like
distances,
all kinds of stuff. So I don't take the time to do that. I usually just read reviews, so I appreciate it.
I loved this hotel, and not because of the closeness, but it had the softest sheets I've ever had on a bed. So I even asked them, "Where'd you get your sheets?" They said he was going to have to ask, the maid services. He didn't know.
You never find that stuff out.
I know.
If our bags were bigger, there might have been a set of sheets in it.
Yes, I walked away with that. They also had huge towels.
Yeah.
And which I think is very common over here now.
Not huge towels.
No. The towel racks that are heated. It's an IKEA thing, I think, but or whoever makes them. But we don't hardly have those in the U.S. Nobody has them.
No.
And they should. Often. We should put one in our house.
I'm afraid it's going to burn your house down, though. How do those not get?
They're pretty hot. They get pretty hot. It also had a teapot and a coffee pot in there, so much good for that. And they had laundry facilities.
I was going to say, you're forgetting the best part.
Oh, the best part. When we left, we were like, all right, just before we left, we needed to do some laundry. Free laundry machines in the basement. And they gave you the soap and everything, and dryers and washers and dryers. It's great.
It was amazing. We didn't leave on our train till late that night. We had to check out early that morning. Actually, they gave us a late checkout till noon. And then we had to kill the whole day. So we did our laundry. They held our bags for us. Like, they were really, really accommodating. And it was nice to have clean clothes for our next leg of our trip. It was great. It was just perfect.
So
place.
we also did some research. We always research what's the best coffee spot in town. Anywhere we go, we got to figure out where the best coffee is. Well, the best coffee was okay. It was good. But the pastries at this place, the Milkman Cafe, holy moly. I've had, chocolate pan.
The pan au chocolat.
Pan au chocolat.
Yes. In Paris.
All over
France.
France. It was the best I've ever had in Edinburgh. It was so good.
Maybe everywhere, yeah. I don't know where they get it from, and then it was like a caramel apple Danish with cream filling or something. And I think I was moaning. And I think at one time you were like, shut up. Like, be quiet. You're embarrassing me. Like, this is so good. Oh my gosh, it was amazing. So they have two right on the same street.
They're less than a block apart.
Yeah, and it was funny because I did go online and read all about the story of this place. And he said, I know it's ironic that they're so close together, but it turns out it's worked for us. We really fell in love with the other location as well. And so they ended up opening two. But I think they're both very successful because they're yummy. So
that's a morning coffee. That's it's kind of starting our day. That's where we could go to. It's accessible from anywhere on the mile. You can get to.
Let's be clear though, they don't open that early.
No, they don't.
We're accustomed to having coffee shops opening at 6:30, 7 a.m. These are more like 8, 9, 10.
Yeah. So it's a great place to start for a great pastry.
Yeah. So obviously when you are in Edinburgh, you're going to notice that all of the shops in the main area are located on what they call the Royal Mile. And
Which is a mile and a quarter.
But a mile and a quarter doesn't sound as
No, it
exciting
doesn't
as the
sound as
Royal
cool.
Mile. So you can walk on one end is Edinburgh Castle, which is up higher and it's iconic and amazing. And it kind of goes down the hill to Holyrood Palace, which is where the Queen would stay when she was
Is
in
it
town.
Holyrood or Holyrood?
I think it's Holyrood.
All right.
There's not two L's in there.
All right.
I'm not going to stake my life on any kind of pronunciation, but I think it's Holyrood Palace. And then when you get down to Holyrood, right there in all of its glory is Arthur's Seat. And I keep wanting to call it King Arthur's Seat or Sir Arthur's Seat, but it's just Arthur's Seat. It's a giant mountain that you can see right there in Edinburgh. And I desperately wanted to climb it. And the last time I was in Edinburgh, I was there with our daughter, Raina, and we were both sick. I was picking her up from her gap year in London. We did London for a couple days, went to Edinburgh. She got me sick. So I spent some of my time laying in bed in Edinburgh. Neither one of us
So why didn't you get to go do it this time?
Because you got sick.
Yes, I did. Pretty badly.
I was so excited to come to Edinburgh for a redo. I'm like, yes, we're going to go to all the things that Raina and I couldn't do because it was cold, rainy, and we were ill. And the same thing.
It eludes you. You know what? Just going to bring you back.
I do need to go back before I head to the Highlands. So we did not get to hike that again, which it's beautiful, but
word to the wise: maybe bring some meds with you when you're traveling, because when you're here in Europe, most places, pharmacies are where you have to get your meds to the pharmacies, but they close around 5 p.m. And you can also, but the nice thing is though that the pharmacists
not only on the weekends.
On the weekends.
On weeknights,
yes,
they're open
but if
later.
you're not feeling great on the weekend and it's like 5 o'clock at 5:30 at night, you're not getting anything. So it's good to have some with you, or if you're even starting to feel under the weather, get to a pharmacist while you can. And also pharmacists can give you, they can give advice and they can prescribe some stuff. Whereas in the U.S. it's totally different. It's not like that. You have to go to a doctor to get your stuff, and then the pharmacist fills it. So
yeah, it is cool. They can give you more stuff than our typical pharmacies can. But you had a fever, so you actually needed some meds. And by the way, you cannot get Tylenol even or ibuprofen or anything at a regular convenience store or market. They're not allowed to sell it. So you do have to go to a pharmacy. So you have to be aware of those hours. So my advice is to bring it with you. If you have a cold medication you like, tuck it in your bag. You're going to a cold, wet, rainy possible place, just be careful. So one of the days, you did spend almost an entire day in bed, and I wandered the Royal Mile by myself, poking into shops and just kind of having a little bit of fun. I went to 2 museums that you may not have wanted to go to, so that was good. But when I did pick you up and you did need some food, the only thing you wanted was soup. Like, oh my gosh, where are we going to find soup? So I kind of was darting back and forth looking at different menus, and it turns out that right by our hotel is the Deacon's House Cafe. And so they had soup, and you can tell about the history of this cool place.
So this was actually only about a half a block away from where we were, but
Super
the
close.
Deacon's House Cafe, which is it's such a fascinating story because it was once the workshop of William Brodie. Now, Brodie is an 18th century cabinet maker, not that big of a deal, and a deacon by the day, but he was a thief by night, and he inspired the story Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So you get to go into his workshop. Oh, by the way, this is what I was hoping for. You hear it in the background? All right, so we're on the boat pod. We're in London. We're in the elements. This is great. We got people walking by. We got geese honking outside, and now we got sirens, the European sirens going by on the outside, which
proof that we are
I hope
here.
this is picking it up, actually. Tom's helping me out, probably amplifying the sirens. They're coming for us, Jules.
No.
So this is actually, you're getting a podcast live in the streets here. Well, on the canal. Anyways, so Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was inspired by William Brodie, this cabinet maker guy that woodworker that we got to eat in his actual workshop.
Well, he wasn't just a cabinet maker. He was a deacon in society. So he actually held a place in the local government. He was well respected. And because of his skills with cabinet making and all the things that he did, he would go into his wealthy friends and clients' homes, and he would basically copy their keys. Well, then at night, he would go in and rob them blind.
Yeah, because he was installing cabinets and stuff in their houses and having keys to be able to go do that. So then he would make copies of the keys and come back and rob them. Kind of fascinating.
Yeah, so that was kind of cool. But that building itself dates back to 1420 when it used to be a brew house. And it's a charming, kind of cute little place. And we were able to get you your tomato basil soup and like a ham and cheese toasty. And it was just a little warm and cozy place to be. Right across the street from the Deacon's house.
Bad boys, what you gonna do? I don't know if I could. You can't hear the sirens in the background. That was for nothing.
If they can't, then we look like idiots.
Yeah. All right, go ahead.
Across the street from the Deacon's House Cafe is also the Deacon's Pub. So they got they corner the market on that little corner right there with their history. And, they've got like a mural on the side of the wall and a bunch of the verbiage about his history. So anyway, it's kind of a cool little area right there. Consequently, also, a lot of the tours that you take go off from that corner. So like Rain and I did a bus tour a couple years ago, and we met at that corner, and the same thing for the other ones that we did. But
so that's a lunchtime kind of afternoon kind of a snack. But what about things to do like going to museums?
Well, when you were laying in bed, sick as a dog with probably 101-degree fever, I just wandered around, and I went to the Museum of Edinburgh and then also the People's Story Museum. Those two are right across the street from each other. And then just down from there also is the National Museum. And you and I went into that later. But it's great because Edinburgh doesn't charge for any of these museums. They're all free. And I think that's great because you want to be able to learn about your country's history and all of the natural things that are in the other museum. But it's really cool. So to pay an entry fee, that might turn some people off. But it's a great place to go when it's raining and you're in an absolute downpour and you want to just like get inside real quick. You pop inside these museums. You can spend, half an hour, an hour looking at all the different exhibits while some of the heavy rain passes or just to warm up, dry off, whatever. But I really enjoyed both of those places. I recommend them. You can stay as long as you want. It's free.
And they're right next to each other, so
right across the street and then down the street. So they're all within a small area. There's also a National Gallery, also free, just down the hill. All convenient, all within probably 10 minutes walk of each other. So anyway, I really appreciated being able to do that, and it was a fun way to learn about the town, and you were sleeping. So
and you know what? When you're looking for a weekend or just a couple days, it gets you exposure to a lot of the natural, the people and the things around you, and it's free, so it saves you a little bit of money, and it's right there, so it's handy. Shopping is a huge thing on the mile, and we found tons of shops selling lamb's wool and scarves and cashmere. Oh my gosh, cashmere! I think I did it. I asked Meta on my glasses. I said, "Hey, how many different cashmere shops are there?" And there was at least 10 different vendors, and they all have like multiple stores, so there could be like 40 stores of cashmere on this Miracle Mile, and it's all by like 10 different companies, but they all just have multiple stores. It's crazy.
Pay attention to the prices because it might be really high in one and on sale in another.
Right.
And they're probably the same company trying a couple different price points. And a lot of the patterns repeat. So just kind of make sure that you look and don't maybe buy the first thing you see. Maybe walk around a little bit.
We didn't buy any cashmere, which was kind of surprising. Or did you when I was sleeping?
I did not.
Okay.
I was so tempted to, but I didn't because we just don't have any more room. And I bought that the last time we were there. So when Raina and I were there, I did buy a scarf. So I figured, I don't need to do it again. That's fine.
So in wandering around, you also had your favorite discovery of it.
Yeah. So, and I had to bring you in afterwards when you were feeling better. I'm like, come back in here with me. So there's a place called the Tron Kirk, and that is a decommissioned 17th century church that they basically in 1952 kind of stopped using it for that purpose. It sat empty for many years, and then they used it for random things in the community here and there just a little bit. But then it was repurposed in the community. And do you actually want to talk about that part? Or do you want me to? Because I don't
Go ahead.
remember that.
You know it.
So this section he was on his bullet point. But the Scottish Design Exchange is what operates that building now. And so they've got 20 some different vendors that they've handpicked so that they're all a little bit different. They're very unique. They're artisans in what they do. Lots of different types of things that you can purchase as souvenirs. But they worked in coordination with the Scottish Historic Buildings Trust. And that organization specifically works to save valued and significant properties that have become run down, that are really at risk for being torn down or something like that. So they work to repurpose those things in the community, find a new way of enlivening that space, making it modern, making it usable. And so they paired with that Scottish design company to bring all these vendors in. And it's been really, really successful. And they've done similar things all over Scotland in treasured historic buildings. Maybe not all of them are markets, but they have found different purposes for them. So I just think that's a super cool story. So you walk in, and instead of seeing all the same exact things that you see in the Royal Mile, which are the cashmere, the lambswool, purses, you kind of see the same stuff. This place was totally unique. It had handmade jewelry. It had tea towels with this...
Handmade jewelry, you say?
Handmade jewelry, like this one right here. Good thing he wasn't with me when I bought this, just saying. Anyway. Yeah, this is actually a bronze necklace. It's created in the old style of hammering the bronze. It's got a circular design on it, and that's actually mimics the fairy circles that are in northern Scotland, which I haven't been to, but we will someday. I just was really, this one spoke to me. I thought it was super cool. I like things that are unique and different, and so I appreciated that. But they also have, I don't know, soaps that you can purchase. They had whiskey barrel like picture frames that were really cool. And if we were more whiskey drinkers and if we had more space,
Whoa, back up.
I'm sorry, you are, but we didn't have room for a whiskey barrel picture
true.
frame in our backpack.
Or bottles.
Oh my gosh, any of it. Anyway, all a really, really cool thing. And I did have to bring you back to show you because I thought it was really a spectacular building.
And by the way, from the outside, I'm like, oh, it looks like a church. So I was like, oh, it's another church. No big deal because we love seeing churches. But walk in, it is gorgeous. All the stained glass is there, and it's kind of a square. It's not like this big long rectangle church. It's a perfect square, and you walk in, and all the vendors are just in this little area. It's great, really cool. You can go in and out of there. You can be in and out of there in 5 minutes, 10 minutes max, and you get to see it all. Well, unless you're shopping. But it was beautiful. And
let's be clear. This building is right in the middle of the Royal Mile. It's a
right
very imposing building. It's kind of Gothic, and I don't know. It's a really cool fixture, and it would be a shame to see that go. So it's great that it's being used.
I was wondering about the name because, Tron Kirk.
Tron Kirk. Tron Kirk.
Yeah, well, Tron, for anybody that's from my age or older, they're thinking of the movie Tron. And it's,
like robots.
Yeah, right. No, not robots. But see, that you don't know. Anyways, Saltron is where it comes from. And that's a medieval weighing beam. So it's used to trade for trading and taxes. So it's a big beam. And there's one outside, I guess. So it's this huge beam that they use to measure, weights and balances.
So that's how it got its name.
Yep.
Okay. That's
really
cool.
Fascinating. Tron
Kirk. Well, you have to go to that. It's
all right.
neat. Yeah.
So then, come to dinner time. We had a learning lesson because I wasn't feeling well. We did not because we didn't know what we were going to want to go do for dinner. We didn't make a reservation. Well, guess what you'd really, really need to do in Edinburgh and now we have geese outside.
Squawk, squawk,
Can you hear it? Anyways, we did not have reservations, so we were kind of struggling to quickly find something to eat because we were like, we need food now.
And you know what also made that challenging?
Me.
Yeah, because I'm like, what are you eating for? I don't know anything. Well, okay, you got to give me some idea. Do you want
a burger? I was not.
I don't really know.
I couldn't make a decision. Anyways, so we ended up, which was great, at the Virgin Hotel, which is really cool, really unique look inside. But it's a block off, 2 blocks off.
It wasn't far.
It wasn't far off.
We tried not to go very far in the rain.
Right. And the name of the restaurant was called Eve. And we had tableside carbonara for 2. Which we didn't. We just it was carbonara for 2, pasta carbonara, but we didn't know it was its tableside presentation.
No, I've never seen that before ever. Like she came to the table with this big thing, and she was tossing in the Parmesan cheese and mixing it, and adding a little pepper and mixing it again, and I don't know. It was kind of cool. It was different. Yeah, it was fun. It was really lovely. That hotel is situated on Victoria Street, which is my favorite street. It is so beautiful. So you can walk down it, and it's a side twisty little street. All of these beautiful homes are in like pink and blue and yellow and green and super colorful.
And why is that also important?
I don't know why.
Because it inspired Diagon Alley from Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah.
And there is actually a Harry Potter store right there, but that's the reason why that's there is because that is it was the inspiration.
Well, and that Harry Potter store has a long queue, by the way.
Yeah,
so
it's
if
a long
you're
line
a Harry
outside.
Potter fan, pack a lunch because it wound outside the door and down the street a little bit in the rain. You're standing out there waiting to get into the Harry Potter store. to buy stuff. We just...
Not for us.
Hi. I mean, we like Harry Potter, but we didn't need to go into the store.
So nighttime.
Okay. Yeah.
What do we do at nighttime after dinner?
Oh my gosh. So one of our favorite things to do when we travel anywhere, actually, is we love to take ghost tours. I know we sound like total nerds, but what I like about it is I was a history major. I really appreciate the history that they impart when you go on these tours. And then if it's a little bit titillating, a little bit scary, then it's kind of fun too. You get both. So we did book a Viator tour, and we actually booked this before we left. And that was called the Haunted Vaults and Graveyard Walking Tour. I think it was like $50 for the two of us. Unfortunately, the night that we booked it was a beautiful night. It was really pleasant, but you were sick. And so I ended up going down and asking the tour guide, I'm so sorry, can we book the next night? And she goes, yep, no problem, just come tomorrow at the same time. So Viator was incredibly lenient with us and just let us come the next night. So we booked that, and it was really cool. What did you think about it?
It was good. Storytelling, atmosphere. The guy was really great. He had a really good English dry humor, kind of like, you know, he was really fun to delivery.
Yeah, dry sense of humor. He was good. So we went to...
It wasn't spooky, but there was one cool part that he was talking about, is that he was talking about the murders of these two guys, and they were buried in the graveyard by Greyfriars Bobby. That he's like, you know, everybody talks about, you know, down in London, Jack the Ripper, this guy that killed 5 people. He goes, we got somebody up here, we got these two guys up here that murdered 11 people. And he goes, and I'm not saying it's a competition, but if it is, we won.
But nobody knows who they are.
Nobody knows who they are because it's not as, you know, crazy, you know, because they caught these guys and one turned on the other one, so he got to walk scot-free, and the other guy, you know, dead. But
and it was an interesting story because basically the Edinburgh Medical Society needed dead bodies.
Oh, let's not get into it.
To learn. Well, it's kind of interesting. Just real quick, a little snippet. But they needed dead bodies to learn, and okay, so they would basically open this rooming house so that they could find their own dead bodies. They would create them.
They were creating dead bodies.
Anyway, so that tour was 2 parts. We got to go to the graveyard and see where these people were buried and some other important famous things too. But you have to mention the vaults. That is so cool. The other part of this tour was we get to go into the vaults that are these chambers underneath the bridge where a lot of people lived, and it just became a den of iniquity and all kinds of problems.
This is Southbridge we're talking about. So coming off the Royal Mile is a side street called Southbridge. And the Southbridge is just a road with buildings on the side of it. But that's now because they built the buildings up along the side. But it used to be a bridge over Cowgate, which is where, hey, when they got all these called Gardyloo. So basically back when there was no sewage,
they would just toss
toss their buckets of Gardyloo out the window and into the streets, and it would all go down to the lowest point. Well, on this side of the Royal Mile, it goes down to Cowgate, and they built a bridge over that so they wouldn't have to be walking around in slop. And when they did that, they built these vaults underneath the bridge. How many? Is 100 something? It's amazing, over 100 of them, and they're still there. But
they thought they would use them as storage units for all of the shops that were up there, but it turns out they leaked so bad that the shopkeepers were like, yeah, we're not keeping any of our stuff in there anymore. So then it just became used by low-income housing, and then that just kind of went down and down and down. And so there's a lot of creepy stories about murder, death, mayhem, blah, 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 that happened there. But it's a really interesting historical segment of the town, and you wouldn't even know it's there. So you get to go into these vaults that they unlock, and this company has like the keys to. So it's super interesting. I appreciated it. It was a cool tour. For
me, the fascinating part is that South Bridge, and it's probably about a 300-yard long area. People don't know that, but that's a bridge. It is an actual real bridge. You're up on that street. I'd say 95% of the people, including people that are from Scotland or that live there, they're walking across. That's just a street to them. They have no idea that that's actually a bridge.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that. But
all right, let's move on to the closest in coffee. Let's
did another tour.
This is a breakfast, kind of a morning time kind of a tour. So as you're going through your weekend of like you got a few days in Scotland, here's something to do in the morning. We did it's a tour for the Real Mary King's Close. Now Close, I always find this hard, but closes are the spine basically off of Edinburgh. These are little tiny streets that go off the Royal Mile, and they usually have a courtyard, and they're usually gated off at nights and whatnot. And this is where you could get to all the different apartments and different places within Edinburgh that are not right on the Royal Mile. And there's a lot of them. They're everywhere, and they all have names. They're really cool.
Yeah, it's called a close, but it's basically like a little alleyway or a little street. And then, yeah, like you said, there's a bunch of houses that are back
Which
there.
is kind of difficult to comprehend. It's like,
you
why
could
say
not
close?
get it at first.
I could
You're
not
like,
get it.
what is a close?
Yep.
And they said it's a close, not only because they're close together, they're narrow streets, but they also close them off, like you said, at night. They gate them end to end to keep the residents in there as safe as possible. But the tour that we booked was called Two Closes. And so you get to go to the Mary King's Close, which is the most famous one. When Raina and I were there in Edinburgh the last time, we did not book it ahead of time, and we could not get tickets, and I was really disappointed. So this time, I booked it ahead of time to make sure that we were able to get in, but I booked the one that's called Two Closes, and then it has coffee. So you start at John's Tavern, and you get to have coffee there in the morning. You get to do that close, which really, when you go down into the bowels there, they're not even exactly sure what close that is.
They don't know yet.
They're still doing ongoing archaeology there, and that is fascinating. So you get to see how the city was built and how they're still finding new things even now, which
They found that in 2019 or 17?
19, I think they discovered it.
So this is real recent. And you're talking about you're in a room that's, like 15 feet by 7 feet, and you're in a hall, and then there's a little alley going off of that. And
multiple rooms.
They were all filled with rubble. So when they opened this up, they found, somebody said, hey, those bricks don't look right. They banged down their bricks and found this tunnel going down, and this is another close that they didn't even know was there until just like 6-7 years ago.
Yeah, there is a labyrinth underneath the city, and they've only found a fraction of all of those things. So it was really kind of cool to see how that ties into modern day archaeology. And then after that, we went into the real Mary King's Close, which admittedly is much more touristy. I don't think you appreciated some of the in costume characters, and I don't care. It was still so cool. You got to go to so many different rooms that were used for multiple different purposes. It showed how all the different levels of humanity, so from the very poorest family to the wealthy, how they each lived, what their lives were like.
All in the same building, basically.
Yeah, exactly. They had the very poorest would live in the bottom and the top. The tops were cold attics with no heating and no running water for sure. The bottom was also cold. In the middle section is where there was more warmth, where some of the rooms were larger. But it was just really interesting. And then you learn about the plagues and, the close quarters when everybody's living so closely together. It was just a fascinating way to learn how Edinburgh was built, constructed, how people lived. They built up because there was nowhere else to go. I thought it was a must-do, an absolute must-do.
And a must-do if you have teenage kids, to bring them to have them learn about appreciation for how they're living now. Because when they show the people in their beds with the plague and all the stuff, and
they had models or
it was brutal. Mannequins,
yeah.
But it was brutal, and you come out of there going, yeah, we live pretty good right now. Everybody lives pretty good right now.
Yeah, for sure. I thought if our kids were here, they would certainly think, okay, I would not want to be living back then. So it does give you a much different perspective on life, and you're like, thank you.
That brings us to lunch. Now we're kind of coming into the second day. What are you going to do for some food?
We were walking in the pouring rain, and it is pouring rain, by the way. And there are rivers going down this street that you are just trying to hop around. And so we just wanted to get into something kind of as quickly as we could. And we actually stumbled upon a great place called the Filling Station. I had such good food there. I think I was moaning at this one too.
Yeah, you got a problem with that.
Apparently I do. I don't know. The crispy chicken sandwich was so good. It just hit the spot. I was hungry. I was wet. I was cold. It was amazing. So
okay. Well, that was good. It was a decent place, but there's so many great places.
No, I know. I wouldn't necessarily say you have to go there. It just hit the spot.
So then after that, Julie had plans for a hands-on experience. She got to go to one of the more unique activities, and I didn't partake in it. She went to the Edinburgh handbag workshop, and she had booked it through fairharbor.com, and it was about $78 for a 1-hour session. But what do you get? Yeah, what do you get with that?
So it was at one of the Islander stores. So there's a whole bunch of these, but not all of them have workshops. But there's probably about 5 different ones that offer workshops. And it's kind of fun because you prepay for a specific design of purse or handbag. But then once you get in there, if you decide you like a different one better, you can upgrade or downgrade if you like a different one instead. And then what you get to pick out, you get to pick out your plaid that kind of looks like this, actually.
Which was
it's
matching
very
to your bag.
Yep, I got this hat to match my bag. So you get to pick out the plaid cover, and then you get to pick out the straps. So there's a strap on top. There's 2 straps that come down. You can choose all different colors. And then you also have the long, like, crossbody strap that you can choose. So it was fun. Really, all you're doing is screwing in the different straps. You're not doing any major construction work here. But the fun part was customizing it, because you could really choose the colors that you want. So they look completely different than the ones you see in the store. And I got mine to be pink and purple. Well, I wanted purple to remind me that this was the trip that we did to go see the Vikings. So I did purple.
Very nice.
It was very fun. I enjoyed it.
But then we had to beat feet up and over the Royal Mile, down to the other side to West End by Newtown, and because we had a reservation that you had set up. Tell us about it.
Yeah, so I will say I did some really great reservations on this trip. You know, sometimes you make a lot of
This was a good one. This is as good as it gets.
We really take turns doing this, and I think that's a great way of balancing out the duties, but sometimes one person is more excited about a destination than the other. So we went to a place called Six by Nico. And the one that we went to was in Edinburgh West, which I recommend because, well, actually, our server said it was the nicest one. But we did a 6-course meal, and it had a theme, and it was called Space. And all of the 6 little bites were kind of having to do something about space, or looked like space. I think this was really the interpretation of the chef, because sometimes we were like, how does that tie in? I don't care. It didn't matter. It was so good. Each little tasting that we had was incredibly flavorful. That it was really textural. And one of the, like the 3rd or the 4th course, I'll let you tell about that.
The 4th course, they brought over headphones and eye mask. And they said, put on your eye mask, put on the headphones. And then they brought out a bowl. And it was a cuttlefish food with risotto and stuff. And it was so good. But you had to do it completely in the dark, and with just some light music playing, so you couldn't hear anybody in the restaurant. And it was a sensory kind of thing, so it was called Blackout.
Yeah.
And we sat
Black
there.
Hole.
Black Hole, thank you. Black Hole. And it was great. So, but all the way to the very end. But one thing you don't need to do is buy extra bread at the beginning, because this is a ton of food. So.
No, that was silly. And honestly, it was $45 a person. And you might think, oh, that's kind of expensive. No. When you get done with this meal, you think, that was the best money I've ever spent. How in the heck did they give us all of that food for $45?
Right.
We were stuffed to the gills. We were there for well over 2 hours. So it's not something you can squish into your itinerary and come hungry.
We did, just prior to that, before we made it over the hill from there, we made one pit stop on the way there. I kind of forgot to talk about this, but it was called Panda and Sons, a speakeasy, probably about 3 blocks away from 6, and it was ranked in the top 50 bars in the world last year. So it's a really cool speakeasy.
And their
worth going.
Their number 1 drink was the coconut daiquiri.
Yeah,
and that was really delicious.
But
they have a really specific way of crafting cocktails, which I didn't totally understand. You have to read their little booklet, but it was so dark in there, I couldn't read.
Yeah, and we were kind of in a rush to get over to 6. So.
We were in a rush. Yeah, we had a lot going on that afternoon, and we also, this is going to make us sound like alcoholics, but
you're in Scotland.
You're in Scotland. You have to do a whiskey tasting.
Right.
And I was like, Tony, we have to do this, and he didn't feel super awesome. And I'm not a whiskey drinker, but I'm like, this is a place I want to try it. So before we went to Panda and Sons, we actually went to the Johnny Walker whiskey experience.
Yeah, you can do a full Johnny Walker experience. And that's kind of a timely thing.
$40.
We didn't have time for that, unfortunately. We missed it by about 10 minutes. But just as good, in fact, probably better, in my opinion, is that we went up to the top floor, which is a restaurant, overlooking all of Edinburgh and the castle. And you're in a beautiful view. It's a rooftop bar. And we got to do our own tasting. So we got 3 different whiskeys, and we tried them, and we sat there. And while we were there, it was pouring rain outside, windy. All of a sudden, the sun comes out and is shining on the castle right in front of us, so we're all like grabbing our phones to take pictures. And then a rainbow comes down and drops right on the castle. the most perfect picturesque spot you could ever be in. We were standing there for. We got tons of pictures of it. And then in 4 minutes, boom, it was gone, and it was completely overcast and pouring rain again, just like it should be in Scotland.
It was really cool, and the flag was flying perfectly. Like the wind made it fly right perfectly. And then Johnny Walker has a rainbow-colored icon, like a statue right outside, and so all of it together just made the most amazing picture. But then after our dinner, we kind of had to hightail it back to our hotel, get our bags in the rain and the wind, and then get down to the train station.
Now this is at night. This is late.
Yeah.
Because we had planned they were holding our bags at our hotel because we had already checked out at like 11 that morning or noon that day, because our train to London doesn't leave until 11:45 at night. It's the Caledonian sleeper train. Or as I like to call it, the Caledonian non-sleeper train. Exactly. So I booked this, it was spendy, all right? It was, it's a sleeper train. We had our own private bathroom, 2 bunk beds, so we both had a single. But these rooms are tiny. Like this. 4 foot wide by 6 feet long. That's the room. The bed is half of that.
It's not luxury by any means.
It's not. The bathroom is actually probably one of the biggest parts of this room. It's decent size, but it's also the shower. Anyways.
It was the toilet and the shower.
Yeah. But the sleeper train, it was loud, bumpy, tough to sleep, but definitely an adventure, and I would do it again. We saved, listen, you got to get to London, and you also have to sleep that night. So either you can stay at a hotel and then get on another train the next day, or you combine the two and you wake up and you hit the ground running when you get to London. Or, in your case, no sleep. I don't know.
I'm a light sleeper to begin with, but laying in that cot bunk thing and just being herky-jerky and the starting and the stopping and the noise and the wind, I could not sleep at all. I don't know how you did it.
Can you do, for the video, since we got video today, this is Julie, how she said she was sleeping. Flailing. I called it you're basically sitting in a, like a washing machine and a dryer. You're sitting in the rotational dryer for 7 hours.
It was not. I didn't find it fun. You do you, but
I loved it.
Whatever.
All right, so let's give a little packing tips for before we go here to because this is important also when you go to Scotland.
This was super important to me because I read on my Facebook group over and over and over, what should I bring? What should I pack? What should I do? I went out and bought things that I didn't end up needing. I don't know. What do you think was the most important?
Lightweight, waterproof, and windproof jacket. It doesn't have to be something super thick. Now, we were there in the early mid-fall, so it's got to have a hood. It's got to have a hood, and don't bring your big fancy down jacket. We saw so many people wearing down that were not waterproof down, like
big puffers.
Big puffers that were soaking through, and then they were just
heavy and miserable.
Thick and miserable. So don't wreck your down jacket by bringing it, even though you think you want to be warm. Bring a rain jacket. Slightly longer to keep your rear end dry if you can.
Well, if you have to sit down on a park bench or something.
And layer up. It's all about layers. I would definitely have a good thin vest that's a warm vest, and then you can put that underneath. That's probably the best way to go.
I had long sleeve shirts. Then I had a reversible vest. And ladies, I think this is amazing. Have a reversible vest that has one pattern on one side and a different color on another, and you switch it up with your pants and you feel like you have different outfits completely. I was so appreciative of that. I had a lightweight rain jacket that was perfect, and you do call it a windbreaker really, because the wind is penetrating. It is bitter. So even if it's not raining, you want that jacket on. So I had my jacket with my vest underneath it, and it was perfect. I was warm, and if I wanted to, I could take that vest off, or I could just wear the long sleeve with the vest if it was a little bit warmer out and you didn't need it. It was the perfect combination. And then the other thing is footwear, right?
Waterproof hiking shoes or boots, but make them be waterproof, because guess what? You're walking in water all the time. You're going to get soaked toes. Just have it's not the most glamorous shoes, but nobody gives a crap. Just put on some nice waterproof shoes.
I know. I like my Merrells. They're hiking tennis shoes, and they were perfect. But umbrella. There's, differing opinions on this. Don't
need it.
Well, it's so windy there that we saw everybody breaking their umbrellas anyway.
Yep.
So if you have a really good hood, and a lot of people do like to wear a brim cap because it keeps your hood off your face. I don't know. It's kind of helpful. But I also appreciated having my knit gloves one day because my hands
I didn't have any gloves, but you did, and that was a good thing.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah, so those are some things to help you enjoy your trip. But ultimately, like, we loved Edinburgh. I think it is a really moody and historic and cool town. It's full of character. It's just a beautiful city.
And in just a couple of days, we explored centuries of history and sampled world-class food,
We did.
met talented artisans, and we got a glimpse into the city's ghostly side, which was fun.
Yeah. So whether you're there for a weekend or a full week, Edinburgh finds a way to linger in your heart a little bit. There's lots to do, and you'll probably have a lot of really amazing pictures on your camera as well.
Yep. So thanks for joining us on this Scottish adventure. And until next time, please give us a follow, a review, a like, do all the things on the socials, Once again, we appreciate all the staff here at the Boat Pod as we're recording in London. And thank you to them. And also thank you to all of our listeners for coming along with us on this. We appreciate it.
This one was short and sweet, but a lot of fun.
All right.
Wheels up!